morning, good afternoon, good evening. Ohayo gozaimasu, konnichiwa, konbanwa. Wherever you are watching, whenever you're watching, welcome to Knifewear video part 2. This video, we're going to talk about how we go into sharpen actual knives here. So, let's get it going. We have core stones actually soaked in the water. Some of the stones actually need to be in the water about 10 to 15 minutes before use because they do saturate the water in very nicely. So for the Knifewear stones, 220 stones and 1000 stones are what we call the soakers or soaking stones. So we actually have them in the water right here. Today we're gonna sharpen this Haruyuki Mugi Santoku. So we're gonna start from the 220 stone. Let's set it up on this sink bridge. Important thing about the sharpening is to have a consistent angle all the way, and also the sharpening at exact angle that you want to sharpen your knife at. Non-Japanese knives usually are sharpened at around 22.5 degrees, like making about 45 degrees from both sides, where Japanese knives are sharpened at 15 degrees. How do you get an angle? We actually have this trick. We use nickels. 5 nickels total for actually European knives. 5 nickels for European knives, 4 nickels for Japanese knives. How do you get the angle? 3 of which of the nickels is going to sit under the knife like this. But you'll be wondering, where you set your edge on, that will change the angle. Yes, that is true. So that's when the last coin comes very handy. You set your coin right in front of the stack of 3. Put the edge down here, then take the spacer coin, lay it flat. This is right about 15-degree angle. That's smart, right? So once you get the angle, second important thing is to maintain your same angle. As you may all have seen the sharpening video that we do this motion, back and forth motion. It is very easy to actually change the angle as you move your wrist and arm around. So how you actually maintain it. We actually use this finger to maintain the same angle. But this stone or the 1000 stone is coarse enough to actually grind the steel off pretty quick. That means though, it will grind your skin very easy. And that the wound from the grind is going to hurt you a lot more than cut. So you want to protect it. So here, in order to protect it, we do have this thimble. Thimble, you can get it at any office supply stores. They usually sell it at the bundle of 10s. So when you actually move your knife around, you can actually have that exact same angle. Now I have been sharpening knives over 7-8 years. I feel a little bit awkward having the thimbles on my index finger, so I will just gonna take it off. The index finger trick is fantastic until you build your muscle memory around your arms and elbows so that you can keep your same angle. So let's start it. Have your knife at the angle that you set. And also left hand or the other fingers, you want to set it on the knife as close to the edge as possible, but not to the stone. Again, the stone will injure you very easy. Apply a little bit of water on the stone and basically move back and forth. So, when you want to stop is when you create what we call it the burr, B-U-R-R. It's the one side of the steel starting to thin out and one side of the knife will starting to fold onto the other side. You will be able to feel it with your fingers like this way. Because it is a very fine metal that's hanging, or it's like a metal hook that's hanging onto the other side, you will never want to pinch up the blade and slide along the blade because it's going to cut you. So now I did create the sufficient burr along the one side. I will move over to the tip part. So for those knives do have a little bit of a carve along the edge here, you want to actually raise the knife upwards a little bit in order to get to the same point right here. So you see the action. I will put the pressure where I want to sharpen and see the knife tilts upwards a little bit like this. Now I create the burr throughout the blade from the heel all the way to the tip. I will switch that size. I would recommend to hold the knife all the time on your dominant hand instead of switching the hand to like this unless you're very comfortable with it. You are sharpening your knife after all. It is always safe to keep your knife on your hand that you are used to. So have this stack of 3, 1 nickel, take the spacer coin off, lay it flat. This time your protection or the guide is going to be your thumb. On the other hand, it goes like this, and have your thimble on your thumb like this. Remove the coin from the stone, then do this. If you hear that the very light dry sound from the stone, add the water accordingly. This is the kind of sound that you want to hear instead of drier sound like this. Move your thumb along the spine as you sharpen them to keep your angle the same. Feel the burr as you go along. At the tip, press it down where you want to sharpen and give it feel the burr. So now I successfully raised the burr on one side and another. Right now the edge is looking more like this. It's thin, but there is a little hook right here. So you want to remove this. You can do this by this motion, what we call it the peanut butter spreading action. It's pretend that you're spreading the butter or peanut butter on the piece of toast. Very light few strokes, about the same angle that you are sharpening at, very light. If you put too much pressure, you will be grinding steel and making that the burr again. So very light, light, light. Then use the honing rod to take the complete burr off. If you leave the little bit of big burr left on the blade, what happens is that when you switch to the finer stone, the first stroke that you are going to do is going to scratch your stone a little bit easy. So I would usually make sure there is no burr left along the edge. Alrighty, after you successfully sharpen with the 220 grit, I just switched over to 1000 grit. This will get the much finer, smoother edge to it. The edge that you have created with 220 grit here is, it cuts the paper very nicely, but you will hear more tearing sound. Okay, so hopefully you can hear the difference once it's done in 4000 stone when I finish. Alright, let's go at it. Because you want to sharpen the same knife at the very same angle that you are sharpening on the 220, the coarser stone, you want to do the same trick. Have this, take the spacer coin out, lay it flat in order to keep your angle the same. Use your index finger with thimble for protection. And apply the pressure where you want to sharpen. This, you can hear the sound is so much more smoother. Again, it's because it is so much more finer stone. Feel the burr. If you can't feel a spot, which I couldn't feel it on the heel here, I will just put the pressure on the heel, as you can see. Just gonna take this, go up. Then up all the way to the tip. Feel the burr. Okay, I have the burr all the way to the one side, so I am going to switch to the second side. Again, it's very same. Have the stack of 3, 1 spacer. Take the spacer coin off, lay it flat. Jam your index or the thumb on the back, then you have the angle. Add a little bit of water. Ready. Now I have the burr on the other side. Awesome. So take the burr off by the peanut butter spreading action and use the honing rod to take the little bit bigger burrs. I usually chew my 1000 stones every 10 knives or so, but I will show you how it's done. Take the chewing stone out. Chewing stone has a flat side and the ridge side right here. Have the ridge side down to the stone. Make sure that the stones are wet so that it gets a little bit more smoother action going. Best way to chew your stone is have your pencil out, draw some grits on, and do this until you don't see any grits. I've only used this one for a few strokes, so I don't need to do as much. But as you can notice that the Knifewear logo start to actually start to wear down a little bit. So now I'll switch to the 4000 grit stone. Most of the times I usually finish most of the knives with the 4000 grit just because to leave a little bit more kind of toothiness along the edge, as well as the toothiness means you can actually cut into the tomato a little bit easy kind of stuff. But for those who like to sharpen up to 8000, I will actually show you how as well. Here, so 4000 stone is a what we consider as a not soaking stone. Unlike 2 other stones that are previously used. Previous 2 stones, 220 grits and 1000, are considered as a vitrified stone. What that means is that they are like a plate, clay with the abrasive mixed in together and baked in hot oven, where the 4000 stone and 8000 stones are what we call it the magnesia bond stone. What magnesia bond is basically, it's like a cement. They are mixed with the adhesive that is magnesia based, so when they dry they will solidify, but because of that construction it's not chemically stable. So if you soak this one in the water for a longer period of time, that can actually saturate the water in, and when it dries up it can actually cause the cracks and stuff like that. So don't soak these one, just splash the water and go. So you want to sharpen at the same angle as you were sharpening on the previous 2 stones. Only difference is that it's so much more quieter. You start to see the little bit of slurries on the stone. This you will want to keep on that stone. What this is it's broken up the steel, abrasive, and adhesive, and this works as a little bit of a polish tint on the edge. Difficult thing about the 4000 grit stone is to know when to stop. Well, you will not grind that much of steel off like a 220 grit, so you are not removing that. So difficult thing about 4000 stone is when to stop, unlike the 1000 stones or 220 stones, because it does not create that prominent burr. You will not overgrind the with the 4000 stone because it doesn't grind that much of steel anyways. But when you want to stop is to check the edge, and one, you want to see how shiny that the edge had become, and also you will be able to feel a little bit of a burr like this way. So I will switch the side, keep all the slurries on. So you kind of hear that little bit of clicking sound if you can. Generally, if you stop hearing that the clicking sound, that's the indication that's close to be done. So I did create very small burr. That's actually going this way. Yes, because I sharpened this way. I need to remove this burr. To do this, from the 4000 grit on, I will usually polish it up with using the leather strap. We do have this fun leather strap that's the modified the guitar neck. You can do this, but you can start doing with this Knifewear leather strap with the chromium oxide part on. You never want to cut it into the leather, as you probably know the why, and do the flip and finish it off. Make sure you don't have any burr left. If you feel a little bit of burr, just strap it off on the side. Now, moment of the truth. I have the piece of paper. I don't know if you can actually hear the difference on the audio that we have, but hopefully you can tell the difference. So that's when I usually stop at, but because people are curious about finishing up to 8,000, I will do that. I think it is important not to contaminate the grits from the other stones, especially when you're sharpening on the 4000 grit and up. So I'm just gonna get the fresher water from the tap, and it's very the same. Go back and forth, same angle. Peanut butter spreading motion, take the bigger burr off. Okay, then do this. So some of you may be wondering what I do, why I do this. This is actually checking the burr out with the using a technique that I heard or that I learned from the Masashi Yamamoto-san. He does this using the both of your thumb, doing putting on the edge and move it again, I guess sideways, and do that the same on the other thumb. One side that has the burr, it's like a hawk, so you can actually feel it's grabbing a little bit more than others. Yeah, it's very smooth. Last thing I would like to talk about is the Nagura stone. This Nagura stone is, as I mentioned in the previous video, it is a cleaning stone. As you can see, the 8000 grit, it has been kind of darkened black. This black is basically clogging up the stone, avoiding all abrasives to work as much as they should. So what this chewing stone does, or the Nagura stone, what this Nagura stone does is acting like a eraser to take the very tiny bit of surface off from the stone and clean it. It's nice and clean. Now, alright, now we successfully sharpened this Mugi Santoku. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to check out other videos on our channel. Thanks for watching.